Beruchim haboim. Welcome everyone. We're about to begin Be'ezras Hashem together on Daf Pei Beis Amud Aleph, the third line from the top. The Gemara previously discussed that a person should not be mekaneach becheres. In those days they didn't have tissues or toilet paper, and therefore the Gemara tells us it's dangerous, it's a sakana to be mekanech becheres with a shard. Also, the Gemara mentions that it's also susceptible to keshafim. Says the Gemara on this subject, Omar le Rav Huna le Rabbi Berei. My taima lo shchicha kamei de Rav Chizda the machadedon shmaitzei. Rav Huna turns to his son Rabba and says to him, why don't you go to Rav Chizda frequently? After all, his teachings are sharp. Omar le my izil legabei. He turns to his father and he says to him, why should I go to Rav Chizda? Dechiazlinon legabei moisiv libe mili da'alma. When I go to him, he sits me down, he teaches me worldly matters that are not directly from the Torah. Omar li, he says to me, man da'ayel lebayis hakisei lo leisi behedyav lo litracht fei. One who goes to the Beis Hakisei should not sit down abruptly, and he should not exert himself. The karkashto atlas shine yosif, because the rectum has three parts that have three grooves that look like teeth. And Vilma mishtamto shine de karkashto v'osili de sakana, and he could then hurt his rectum and tear it and come to a sakana. Omar le. So Rav Huna turns back to his son and he says to him, Hu osik b'chai de briyasa va'at amris b'mili da'alma. He is osik in matters of things that are going to help people to live in this world successfully. And you're saying it's just mili da'alma, worldly matters that are unimportant. And therefore, the Gemara now brings us several eitzos in this regard. Kol shekain zil legabe, he tells him certainly you should go to him and learn these eitzos, these teachings. Hayu lefon tzror v'cheres. The Gemara now brings up the following machlokes. If you have on Shabbos tzror and cheres, you have a pebble, a stone, and you also have in front of you a shard. What should you use in order to then be mekaneach? Rav Huna Omar mekaneach b'tzror ve'mekaneach b'cheres. Rav Huna says you should mekaneach with the tzror and not with the cheres, because the cheres is a sakon, is dangerous. Rav Chizda Omar mekaneach b'cheres ve'mekaneach b'tzror. You should use a cheres because it's a kli that is a kli that's viable to be used for Shabbos, whereas a tzror is muktzah. And therefore he held that the cheres is not so dangerous, you could also use it. Meisvei asked the Gemara, how you lefon tzror v'cheres? The Brisa says if you do have in front of you these two options of either a tzror or cheres, mekaneach b'cheres ve'ein mekaneach b'tzror. You should be mekaneach with a cheres and not with the tzror. So we see that's a kasha to yufta de Rav Huna. It's a kasha, a refutation on Rav Huna, who said the opposite. Answers the Gemara, Tirgama Rafram Bar Papa Kamei de Rav Chizda Aliba de Rav Huna Beugni Kalim. This Bryce is talking about the rims of Kalim where they're smoothed out. Those type of cheres can be used to wipe oneself. However, the ones that are sharpened still, that he says a tzror is better. Now the Gemara brings another two options. How you lefon tzror v'asavim. On Shabbos he has a tzror, a small rock, and he also has asavim, wet grass. What should he use to then wipe himself? Rav Chizda Rav Hamnuna Chadamar mekanech b'tzror ve'ein mekanech ba'asavim. One says he should mekanech b'tzror, but not by asavim, because asavim that are wet can actually also cut him. V'chadomar mekanech ba'asavim ve'ein mekanech b'tzror, whereas the other one says the opposite, mekanech with the asavim and not with the tzror, because the tzror is considered to be more muktzah. Meisvei asked the Gemara from the following brisa: Ha-mekaneach b'dover she'ha'ur sholetes boy Shinov hatachtoinos noisharois. It says in the Braisa that a person is mekaneach with that which the fire rules over, meaning to say that it causes it to become inflamed, it could be flammable, this item, then he should not use that to be mekaneach because it can actually tear his rectum, the muscles that are surrounding the rectum, the piatabas. Gemara says, Lo kashya haba lachin haba yeveshim. This Bryce is talking about yeveshim. That would be a problem. But lachim, which what we said before, is preferable then to tzror. Says the Gemara, other eight says, Hanitzrach lipanois veno nifne. A person needs to go to the bathroom, but he cannot do so. What should he do? Rav Ravino. Chad amar ruach rosh sholetisbo. Here the Gemara is talking about what is the situation of a person who goes to the bathroom and does not do so. Not because he cannot, but he just leaves the situation the way it is. So there's a machloikis at what is going to be the result. Chad amar ruach rosh sholetisbo. One says that it'll emanate bad breath. V'chad amar ruach zu hama sholetisbo. It'll cause him to have a bad smelling odor that are coming from his skin when he then sweats. Tanya Kimanda Omar Ruach Zu Hama Sholetes, but we have a brisa that says that it's going to cause an odor when he sweats, a bodily odor. The Tanya, like it says in the brisa, Hanitzrach Linikavov, V'oichel, a person who has to go to the bathroom and he nonetheless leaves it and he continues to eat. Doime letanor shehisikua al gabe efroi. It's like a person who wants to heat up an oven that was already once using the afer, the old ashes, and he's using it now. In other words, he didn't clean it up and then start anew. So to a person who didn't clean up that which he need to then get rid of, that waste, he's going to then cause himself to then have not good digestion. V'zuhi techilas ruach zum, which will cause the beginning of bad bodily odor. Hutzrach liponos ve'eno yochel liponos. Here it's a situation where a person needs to go to the bathroom, but he's not able to. What are the eight sois that the Gemara can give him for such a person? Amar Rav Chizda yamoid v'yeshiv, yamoid v'yeshiv. The Gemara gives an eitzah. He should stand and then he should sit. He should stand and he should sit. That will cause his bowels to move, and then he'll be more readily be able to go to the bathroom. Another eight of Rav Chanan min neherdo amar yistalik l'tzadin. He should try one way and then try a different way. Try again and try again. The constant trying, one after the next, that will also then cause his bowels to move. Rav Hamnuna amar yimashmesh b'tzror ba'oisoi mokoim. He should then take a tzror and he should then manipulate that area of the Tpiyat Abbas, which will then cause, again, him to then be able to be going to the bathroom. Rabbanan Amar Yasiach Daitoi. Rabbanan say he should remove his das. Ask the Gemara, by removing his das, that will enable him to then go to the bathroom. The Rav of the Ravashi, Kol Shekain, Dechi Mosach Daitei Loi Mefani. If a person is going to then remove his das, he's going to ignore it. It will not enable him to go to the bathroom. Answers the Gemara, no, he should remove his das from other things so he can concentrate and allow himself to go to the bathroom. Omar Rav Yirmiyahu midifti ledidi chazi li hahu tayo. He says an incident that I saw a certain Arab, a certain Yishmaeli, the kam v'yosif ad shofach b'kedeira. I saw that he sat and he stood, and that caused his bowels to move to the point where it's as if the kedeira, a pot, was just turned over and all of the contents went out. It was so effective. The Gemara now brings a brayso ton rabbanon. Hanichnas lesuudas keva. A person who enters a fixed suuda, that means a long suuda, let's say a suuda of a sudas mitzvah, maybe a chasana or a sudas Shabbos, where it's going to be a sudas keva. So he doesn't want to then be in the middle of the suda and have to then excuse himself in the middle. Wouldn't be derech eretz. So therefore, what's the eitzah? Yahalech yud pa'amim shel arba amos. He should go ahead and walk 10 times a distance of 4 amos, and that will then help him to move his bowels before he then goes into the Sudas Keva. V'amrei lo, dalid pe'om shel eser amos. Others learn that he should actually walk 4 amos, 10 times, in order to then help move his bowels. V'nifne, and then go to the bathroom. V'nichnas, v'yeshev, b'mekoimo, and then he should enter the Su'udah and be able to then sit without having to excuse himself. The Gemara now brings the final Mishnah in the Perek, also of course discussing the minimum shear for the malach of Hoitzah, and gets into the Inyan of Cheres, a shard that we've been discussing. What is the minimum shear of a shard of a Cheres that a person will be held liable for going out with on Shabbos? Cheres says that Tanakama says that Mishnah kedei litein bein patzim lechaveiroi divrei Rabbi Yehuda. You have boards that very often have space in between, and therefore as not to then cause those boards to then cause not only just a space but then become crooked and curved, they put a shard in between. The size of this shard that they would put in between, that is the minimum shear, says Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Meir omer kedei lachtois boyes ha'ur, in order to then carry an ur of fire, referring to a piece of coal. Rabbi Yosi omer kedei lekabel boy revis, in order to then collect, to be able to then hold a revis of a lug, a amount of liquid of a revis. Omar Rabbi Meir, who said the middle opinion, in order to then carry a fire, a piece of coal, says I have a remez to what I'm saying. Afapi shein raya ledovar zeicher ledovar. It says in the pasuk in Yeshaya lo yimotze b'mechitasoi. It says you should not be found the pieces of fragments. Cheres lachtois eish mi yakud. Here the Navi is talking about where Klal Yisrael were boteach in the strength of Egypt to protect them. HaKadosh Baruch Hu was very upset at Klal Yisrael, and he sent the Navi Yeshaya to then give them toichacha. And he said to them that by you putting your bitachon in Egypt, it'll be like a wall that'll cause to fall down, and it'll plunder. It'll fall and break into fragments, into pieces. And then the Navi goes on to say, Cheres lachtois eish miyakud, like a piece of shard that you'll be able to then carry a fire from its fire, a piece of coal from a fire. So says Rabbi Meir, I have a remez to what I'm saying to the piece of coal, that even a minimum shear, this would be the minimum shear that's significant, that would also then be mechayev a korban chatas for hoitzah on Shabbos. Omar loy Rabbi Yosi turns back to Rabbi Meir and he says, you want to bring a raya from there, misham raya. V'lach soif mayim migava. The rest of that pasuk goes on to say, and to scoop some water from a cistern. So you see that in fact it's a raya like me, which implies that even a smaller shiur is what we're talking about for a kli cheres, for a piece of shard rather, that is going to be chayiv for hoitzah. Says the Gemara the following, Mistabra shiur de Rabbi Yosi nafish. Now we had 3 different shiurim in the Mishnah. Again, the Tanakam, which was Rabbi Yehuda, said the minimum shear for cheres, according to Rabbi Yehuda, is putting it in between boards. The second shear was Rabbi Meir, and Rabbi Meir said that's going to be the shear of carrying a piece of coal. And we had Rabbi Yosi, who said that the minimum shear of cheres is being able to then hold a revis of a lug. The Gemara says, Mistabra, shiur de Rabbi Yosi nafish, that the shear of Rabbi Yosi is bigger. It's mistabir because to hold a liquid of a revis sounds to be bigger than the previous shiurim. Umikra shiuro de Rabbi Meir nafish. Yet the pasuk is telling us that we quote in the Mishnah that the shear of Rabbi Meir is even bigger. So how could that be? It's a steer between svara and what the Nach, the pasuk seems to imply. Because if you would suggest, you would say that the shear of Rabbi Yosi is bigger. Light labimana zutra v'hoda light labimana rabba. Would it be fitting that the Navi would curse for a smaller shear and then he'll curse for a bigger shear? That wouldn't make sense, and therefore you see from the Mikra that Rabbi Yosi's shear is smaller than Rabbi Meir. Omar Abaye masnisin nami lachtois eish miyekida gedoyla. Abaye explains that indeed from our Mishnah, what we're talking about over here is that the shear of Rabbi Meir is talking about where the shard has to be indeed bigger than that of Rabbi Yosi. Why? Because the shard has to carry a piece of coal from a not small fire, but a big medura, a bonfire. In order to then be able to then take a coal from a big bonfire, you have to have somewhat big shard as not to become burnt by the fire. So indeed, the shear of Rabbi Meir is bigger than the shear of Rabbi Yosi. The Gemara now quotes Rabbi Yosi, Oimer Mishum Raya. He says, Misham Raya, from there is it a proof? Indeed, the pasuk goes on to say what I'm saying, to be able to then carry a revis. The Gemara says, Shapir Kamal Rabbi Yosi Rabbi Meir. Indeed, it's good. It was a good response. Rabbi Yosi said to Rabbi Meir, Lachar, he has himself a better type of hoichacha from the statement of Yeshaya that's even greater than that which Rabbi Meir wanted to bring. Rabbi Meir loy mi boy kamar. No, the Gemara explains that Rabbi Meir would explain out Yeshaya as follows. It's a lomi boy kamar. It was not necessary for him to say as follows. Lomi boy midi de choshiv li inshi. Not only is it going to be something that is choshiv for people, that's the shards that is going to break to, that it won't be found, even a shard to be able to carry a coal, the way I'm suggesting it. But even that, which is not even going to be choshiv to people, it's going to break into small pieces, and therefore the minimum amount that's going to carry even some water, that itself is not going to be even viable for a person, and therefore it's not even going to be a minimum shear to be mechayiv for hoitzah.